You've probably seen them before. Tiny lights flickering in the darkness of a summer night. Most people think they're simply one of nature's most beautiful sights. But what if those lights are hiding a much bigger secret? Because over the years, scientists have discovered that every time a firefly lights up, far more is happening than the human eye can see. It's not random. It's not meaningless. And it's certainly not as simple as we once believed. So why would a tiny insect produce light in the dark? And what is really being sent every time those mysterious flashes begin to appear? In fact, fireflies aren't the only creatures in nature capable of producing light. This ability appears in many different forms of life, from animals living in the deep ocean to certain species of glowing fungi found in forests. But fireflies are different. They are among the very few land-dwelling animals that can produce light bright enough for humans to see with the naked eye from a distance. And that's what makes their story so remarkable. The light they produce generates almost no heat. While an incandescent light bulb wastes much of its energy as heat, a firefly can convert nearly all of that energy into light. Engineers have even studied this process in search of inspiration for more efficient lighting technologies. But here's where the story becomes even more interesting. For many years, people believed those flashes were simply signals that helped fireflies find mates in the dark. And that isn't entirely wrong. But when researchers began studying them more closely, they noticed something unusual. Those flashes seemed to follow a pattern. Which a pattern. One of the most common misconceptions about fireflies is that they flash randomly. Those tiny lights appearing and disappearing in the darkness can seem like nothing more than nature's version of a chaotic fireworks show. But when scientists began recording fireflies with high-speed cameras and studying them over many years, they discovered something entirely different. This wasn't chaos. It was a signaling system. Each firefly species has its own unique signature. Some flash once and then pause for several seconds. Others produce 2 or 3 flashes in quick succession. Some are active only at certain heights above the ground. In fact, in many parts of North America, researchers can identify a firefly species simply by observing the rhythm of its flashes in the dark. That means when you see dozens of lights flickering across a summer field, you're not just looking at light. You're watching information being exchanged. A language far older than humanity itself. And what's fascinating is that much of this communication happens too quickly or too far away for us to fully understand with our own eyes. To us, they're just blinking lights. But to a firefly, every pause, every flash, and every position in the darkness can carry meaning. And if those flashes are signals, then a new question immediately emerges. What exactly are the fireflies trying to say? A search in the dark. When night falls, the world of the firefly truly comes alive. During the day, most of them are nearly invisible. They remain hidden among low vegetation, beneath leaves, or deep within patches of grass. But as sunlight fades, the first signals begin to appear. For many firefly species, this marks one of the most important moments of their lives, finding a mate. It sounds simple, but imagine being a tiny insect in a vast field at night. No calls echoing through the darkness. No scent traveling hundreds of feet through the air. No bright colors like those used by birds or butterflies during the day. In the dark, light becomes the solution. A male flies over the grass and sends out a signal. If a compatible female is nearby, she responds with a signal of her own. And remarkably, the timing between those flashes is often incredibly precise. Respond too early or too late, and the message may be ignored completely. It's like a conversation written in light instead of sound. But as scientists looked deeper, they began to realize that not every light in the world of fireflies is as honest as it seems. And that discovery leads to one of the strangest secrets ever uncovered about these insects, a light in which no heat. Before we uncover the secret hidden behind those signals, we need to take a closer look at the light itself, because it is extraordinary in its own right. Touch a light bulb that's been on for a few minutes. It feels hot. A large portion of its energy is lost as heat. But fireflies do something remarkably different. Their light is produced through a chemical reaction inside their bodies, where a molecule called luciferin reacts with oxygen with the help of an enzyme known as luciferase. The result is light, but very little heat. Scientists often refer to this as cold light, so efficient that most of the energy is converted into light rather than wasted as heat. And that matters, because fireflies are tiny creatures. If their bodies generated too much heat every time they flashed, they could damage themselves. Instead, nature has produced a system so efficient that engineers still study it today in search of better lighting technologies. Even more remarkable, fireflies can switch their lights on and off almost instantly. Unlike a light bulb that needs time to heat up or cool down, they control every flash with astonishing precision. But then scientists noticed something strange. If this light was created for communication, and if every signal mattered, what would happen if one firefly deliberately sent a dishonest message? He, I'm pastor in, he dark. For many years, people believed that firefly flashes were part of a simple communication system. One firefly sends a signal, another responds, and eventually they find each other. But the real story is far more complicated, because in the world of fireflies, not every signal tells the truth. Some female fireflies have evolved a remarkable strategy. Instead of responding to males of their own species, they imitate the flash patterns of another species. From a distance, the signal looks completely normal. A male sees it. He believes he has found a potential mate, and he flies closer. But what awaits him isn't a romantic encounter. It's a predator. Scientists call this signal mimicry, a rare form of deception so surprising that it changed the way researchers think about fireflies. Those glowing lights in the night are not always invitations. Sometimes they are traps. A hunt hidden behind a signal. A sophisticated deception refined through millions of years of evolution. Suddenly, a peaceful summer field doesn't seem quite so simple anymore. Each flickering light may be telling a very different story than the one we imagine. And that leads to an even bigger question. If these flashes are so important, what do they reveal about the world around them? A message from the garden. If you're lucky enough to see fireflies in your backyard, a local park, or a nearby field, you may be witnessing far more than a beautiful summer spectacle. Because fireflies don't thrive just anywhere. Most of their lives are actually spent underground or hidden among damp layers of leaf litter. For months, and in some species, even years, firefly larvae live quietly beneath our feet, hunting slugs, snails, and other small invertebrates. They need moisture, they need natural vegetation, and they need true darkness. That's why fireflies are often among the first creatures to disappear when a habitat changes. A lawn cut too short, a field covered by concrete, or simply outdoor lights that stay on all night. Any of these can make their world far more difficult to survive in. So when fireflies appear, they are often revealing something about the environment around them. That this place is still dark enough, still natural enough, and still capable of supporting countless other forms of life. But even that isn't the only secret their presence reveals. Because fireflies may be telling us something most people never think about. One of the most efficient lights on Earth. Every time a firefly flashes, an extraordinarily sophisticated chemical reaction takes place inside its body. And remarkably, that reaction is so efficient that many human-made technologies still struggle to match it. In a typical light bulb, some energy is inevitably lost as heat. But a firefly's light produces almost none. That's why scientists often consider it one of the most impressive examples of biological efficiency found in nature, which means those tiny flashes drifting across a summer field are far more than a simple display. They are the result of millions of years of refinement, a signaling system that is precise, efficient, reliable, and capable of working night after night. Perhaps that's why fireflies have fascinated people for generations, not simply because they are beautiful, but because they reveal how elegantly nature can solve complex problems. And when a small light flickers across the darkness, you may be looking at much more than an insect. You may be witnessing a signal, a story, and a mystery that has been unfolding around us for millions of years. Because every flash is carrying more than light. It's carrying information. Those tiny lights, appearing and disappearing across a summer field, turn out to mean far more than we ever imagined. Throughout this journey, we've discovered that behind those seemingly simple flashes lies an entire network of signals shaped by millions of years of evolution. A language with no sound, no words, only light. If you'd like to know whether fireflies are still active around you, look for warm summer nights in places that remain truly dark. Repeating flashes across a meadow, along a forest edge, or near damp areas are often the first signs that this hidden world is still at work. But the story of the firefly points to something much larger. Nature is full of signals we see every day without truly understanding them. Sometimes, the most familiar things are also the most mysterious. And even when it comes to fireflies, science doesn't yet have all the answers. Researchers are still trying to understand why such complex flash patterns evolved across thousands of species, and how much information may still be hidden within signals we have yet to fully decode. Perhaps that's what makes those tiny lights so remarkable. They remind us that every time we think we've figured out the world, nature reveals another layer beneath the surface. What about you? Which fact about fireflies surprised you the most? And is there another familiar creature or natural phenomenon you'd like to explore next? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy journeys like this, be sure to subscribe and join us for the next one. Because sometimes, a single point of light can open the door to an entire world.